let me explain, but before we get there, let me go get a cup of coffee first. Got my coffee here. Put that down. It's getting a bit warm, so I'm going to take this off here. Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Paul, and today I'm just going to go through my new tank setup, what it took to get it this far. And if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please subscribe, as that really helps me out, and I do appreciate you subscribing. And I will do my best to answer all the comments that I do get down in the comments section below. And if you don't know what happened earlier on last year to mid-year to the end of last year, check out the video link above, as that will explain to you exactly why I'm going through what I'm going through right now. I was at a pivotal point in this hobby where either one, I could have given up and just scrap everything, sell everything out, or two, I could restart over. And with the help from the Reefer community and from everyone like you guys, and with the positive comments, I decided to give the system a reboot and start fresh. And that's exactly what I've done. And I had to plan this out for the past 4 months, writing down all that needs to be done and try to put them down in chronological order of what needs to happen. And I know I could have done this in a shorter amount of time, but I actually had a lot of things going on. And so I had to make room for my trips and the holidays that were coming up. And so I planned this out to about 4 months transition from tanking down the old tank to setting up the new tank to making sure all the rock work were put together, cemented together, so that I can have a whole new rockscape in my setup. And the whole reason was to purge out everything that I had before and try to put new equipment and new setup in my tank to give it a fresh new look. This time around, I decided to embrace the minimalistic design approach. I know I'm not fully minimalistic, but before I used to have like all these different equipment down in the sump area and pumps hanging off the side. And so I decided to make it look as clean as possible while still having all the necessary equipment that I need to ensure a successful reef tank. I took time out to plug everything into a dedicated calendar with reminders so that I knew when this time came, I had to get this done. So I have that all mapped out, and I'm actually at the tail end of this transition where I'm going to be putting my fish in pretty soon. Now, one of the drawbacks of starting or rebooting your tank is that it's actually more work than just buying a new tank and setting it up all fresh. With rebooting a tank, you'll have to go through the mundane process of just tearing everything apart, figuring out where to house all the livestock, and if you want to keep them or give them away. In my case, I decided to give all the corals away and donate them, and then kept some of the fishes that I really want or enjoyed. And this, according to my plan, would be the perfect time to add new fish or get rid of some of the ones that I don't really want. And I actually went through and got rid of a few, quite a few actually. All my chromas are gone. The yellow eye tang, that guy is gone. The royal gamma, that guy is gone. What I did was I actually knew that this would be the time to set up a QT tank to put my old fish in, and also any new one that I decide to add, which I decided to get a purple tang and an orange shoulder tang and a blue tang to add to the mix. Instead of talking about the QT tank, let's go take a look at it. All right, we are in my garage here, and I don't have anything fancy in terms of a QT tank. So if you can see here, this is my 30 gallon. It's just a standard tank that you can get from Petco or PetSmart. And I have it specifically for quarantining fishes. And so this one here in particular, it's got 2 heater on both ends. I've got air going into 2 sponge filter and an additional air stone there just for oxygen into the tank. I do have a Tunzi LED light that sits at the very top here. I have the piece of glass just to kind of cover it and keep the tank as warm as possible. Then I got some bio balls in the back here, and those are there to help with keeping the water clear. I have the sponge and the bio balls in the display tank for a few months before throwing them in here, and that's to help with keeping the water clean while they're going through quarantine. Now, this is how I normally set up my QT tank. Nothing special, just a 30 gallon tank, and I have 30 gallons just to make sure that it's large enough to create some stability in the tank. And then I use copper power right here, and if we just follow the instructions, it's pretty easy to follow. Just make sure that I am at 2.5 ppm, and the only way to really know is to use something like this Hannah checker here. I've been using this for a while now, and it works really well. And as a backup, I do have the API test kit. Although not as accurate as the Hannah checker, it still works, and it at least lets you know if the copper level is elevated or not. Afterwards, I'm going to be running some Prezi Pro here, and this stuff is just there just to make sure, just an additional run through to make sure the fish is pest free and healthy. And again, I am running this beefy pump right here, Aqua Miracle, and it's got this dial right here where I can just create more bubbles in the tank. Essentially, it's creating more air that's being pumped into the tank. And then in terms of feeding, nothing fancy, TDO right here. And I do have my seaweed pack right here, and I buy this by the 50 sheet because it's just cheaper this way. I do also feed them frozen brine shrimp, about 1 cube a day or 1 cube every other day, just to make sure they're well fed. And then I monitor this tank about twice a day. I have a marker right here at the very top that lets me know if water has been evaporated, and if that's the case, I have a 5 gallon bucket water inside the garage here. I just pour some in here to get it back to this level. Now I do water changes, and I only do that about once every few days. I just take a glance at the tank and look to see how it's doing, and at the same time, like a CCAM ammonia alert tag here just to make sure it's still safe. If it's not, I'll do like a 5 to 10 gallon water change, and that should usually help out with the fish tank for the next few days. And after going through this whole process, the fish will be back in the display tank, and this QT tank will be stored for the next use. Alright, so I'm going to pause this video just to show you what I have going on here. This is a new product that I am putting out, and this is to help the channel out. These are my new coral viewing glasses. They are universal, made for everyone, and they are made with a black, hard, sturdy ABS plastic, along with this nice piano gloss finish. And it's got the traditional orange lenses on here, and these lenses will cut out all the blue that's coming from your lights and gives you the ability to really see the corals for their color. Again, nice strong hinges, beautiful black design, orange lenses, and it's got this nice logo, Modern Reefer, etched right in here. So this took some time for me to get together and put out, but if you are out there looking for something like this, I want you to give this a try. Let me know down in the comments section if you do buy one. I've been using mine from the previous tank setup that I had with my corals, and these are just amazing, especially if you're viewing SPS corals. The corals just pop. So again, guys, these are my new shades to view corals. If you want to get a pair, check out the link below. That will really help the channel out. And let's get back to the video. All right, now in terms of equipment upgrade, I did get new pumps. These were the old ones. These are the Max Spec Gyras XF350. I had 4 of them, 2 on the tank and 2 on the side for swapping them out during cleaning. Now the good thing about this pump is that it's got a wide pattern flow for pushing water out, and it's got diverters here to kind of control where you want part of that water flow to go. The real downside to this pump is that there's just so many parts that needs to be taken apart to clean this pump, and also the pump's flow degrades after about 2.5 months. And you will have to really clean this to get its full potential. Otherwise, it's really flowing at about half its potential. Now, I do have 4, and 4 of these will be out of commission, being replaced by, and I thought I was going to go with this. These are the MP40s. I had about 2 MP40. This is the wet side. This is the dry side. Very cool design, nonetheless. This is the piece that goes on the outside. Cleaning is a breeze. You just have to buy another MP40 wet side, and then you can swap them out. Makes cleaning very, very simple. Of course, then you have that piece that hangs out on the outside. And because I wanted my new setup with the pump in the far corner in the back so that the side of the glass is as clean as possible, I swapped this out for this pump. And this is the Nero 7, and I like the design. It's a little bit flatter, thinner, you would say, but a little bit wider versus the MP40. It's a little bit deeper. This is a comparison, but it's a bit more narrow. I guess you could say it's comparable, but the fan design or the blade design is totally different. One is really wide on the Nero 7 versus it's a bit more smaller on the MP40. Again, MP40 actually outperforms the Nero 7, but because of this design, I wanted to go this route. And I also have 2 Nero 5s that I'll be running on the bottom glass. And that's just to create more circulation inside the tank, to make sure detritus is not collecting on the bottom of the tank. So I do have 2 Nero 7 and 2 Nero 5s that I'm going to be running. One of the real reason why I want to run this pump is, and I will get to that in the next section of this video, but I'm able to put this on the corner of my tank. And the other thing I want to touch on is the controller itself. Being that this controller is so small and tiny, you can mount this anywhere. And I have 4 of them mounted all together inside my tank. And honestly, if you didn't want to mount them, you didn't have to. You can probably just hide them somewhere, versus the MP40 where you have something like this. And this is nice, like, I mean, really nice, but I think it's a little too big in today's age. Still wouldn't mind having this, but mounting 4 of these would just take up so much space. And I kind of like the concept of just very small controller, and then I can do the rest through the app. So very nice, but I am going to put these on the side for now and use the Nero 7. All right, now in terms of lighting, I did decide to upgrade my lights from the Orphic Atlantics that I have over to the Radion's G6 Blue. And the reason for that is because the Orphics did work. However, I ran into issues with the LEDs blowing out, and I had to replace them a few times already. And second to that is the controllability of the unit. My gateway is always just not functioning the way it's supposed to, so I have to reset that. It takes about 5 minutes to come back up, and if it doesn't detect the 2 Orphics, I would have to reset all 3 units. Eventually it'll work, but it's just a hassle when I need to go in to turn my lights on. The or two light bars that I have now, they are still actually working and they work fine. So I'm carrying those two light bars over to the new setup with the Radion's G6 for a complete light setup. Alright, so in order for me to continue on with my minimalistic tank setup design that I had in mind, I know I didn't want the narrow pumps hanging off the side of the tank. I did try that and they actually gave up a bit more noise than I wanted to. And so with the new design, I decided I wanted to create a 3D printed product or item that mounted the pump at the very corner of the tank. And that's exactly what I did. I went through a few iterations and then I came up with this guy right here. And this guy actually just hangs on the back of the glass. Your magnet goes in between this piece right here, so it sandwiches on, and then that way your pump can snap in place. So that is how it is connected. You can still pivot, just a few degrees whichever direction you want. There it is. The whole idea is that the pump is not mounted on the side of the tank. It's actually at the back corner. This will give the flow, in my personal opinion, a better flow where it's pushing directly to the front of the glass at an angle. This one can do the same thing coming from this side. Right here that I created, nothing special. It goes on the back of the Red Sea tank, and I did have a different iteration, and that one's going to be removed. But the whole point of this is so that the light from the top of the lights, where they're coming down, I'm actually mounting them onto here with a strap. So the strap is actually holding it onto here and then holding it onto the tank, so the strap doesn't move. The reason for that is, if you don't have that, what happens is that the weight of this cable is pulling the whole light fixture this way towards the back of the tank. So with this, I'm actually able to zip tie the cable from the lights onto this piece. So that way there's no pressure on pulling or tugging that cable down, creating the light to be kind of twisted and not centered. The cable runs this way, zip tie it on, and it's going to be holding it just there. And with the sleeve that I'm putting on the cable, with it being mounted here, it just looks really, really nice. Alright guys, so that is the current state of my tank as it sits today. I am hoping to be able to put my fish back into my tank within the next 2 weeks, and then maybe within the next 2 to 3 months, I'm hoping to be able to put in some basic corals like green slimer into my tank so I can start growing corals. So that is where it sits today. I am very happy and thankful for you guys for watching this video if you've watched it so far. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please consider, as that really helps this channel out a lot. Alright guys, that is it for today. Thank you for watching to the very end, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks.